make these beaded bangles, we've got memory wire. Ours is gold and it's 65 millimeters in diameter. And we've got beads. We've got some gold seed beads. These are 2 millimeter. And we've got some faceted round crystal beads here. These are 5 millimeters and these are 2 by 3 millimeters. And then we have crimp beads. The crimp beads are size number 1, which is 1.3 millimeters. And we got those in gold to match our gold wire and beads. For tools, we have round nose pliers, we have chain nose pliers, and we have wire cutters. We're not using our best wire cutters because this memory wire is very hard and we don't want to damage our good ones. So these are our backup old wire cutters. To make one of these delicate beaded bangles, we're going to start with the memory wire and we're going to cut a piece that has a little bit of an overlap with the coil below it. So memory wire is like a slinky. It's wire that's permanently shaped into this circle. It won't ever be a different size than this diameter. You can pull it apart, but it bounces back to that shape. And what we want to do is have overlap. So this goes all the way around to the wire below it, and then I'm going to continue on for another about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to use my wire cutters to cut that piece. So I'm on the layer underneath with about 1.5 inches overlap. And I'm going to squeeze that to cut it. And now you can see what I mean by the overlap. This piece is 1.5 inches longer than the piece below it. So this is going to be my bangle. And then what we want to do is just bead it. And for this bracelet, we're just using a few beads that'll be centered down on the bottom of the bangle. And I have enough beads here to do 5 different bangles. So I'm just going to pick a few for this. And I'm going to do 5 little seed beads and a faceted rondel with 5 more seed beads like that. And that'll be my little design. But you can see I could do other designs. I could do a few seed beads and some of these smaller rondels on the side, another seed bead here and here. The designing is really the fun part and the easy part. So you can just pick out whatever beads you want. But we're going to feature this nice faceted crystal, round crystal in the center. So what I want to do is feed these beads on, but I want a crimp bead at either end, and that's going to keep the beads centered on the bangle. So I'm going to take out 2 of the crimp beads from this little jar. It's nice that the crimp beads come in a separate container like this. If you buy them and they're in a baggie, you'll want to label that baggie and make sure you know that they're crimp beads, because once you set them down with the other beads, they look like regular beads. You want to know that these are the separate metal ones that are suitable for crimping. So I'm going to feed 1 crimp bead on the memory wire first. Oops, it's very small by design. So there's my first one on there. And then I'm going to feed on the seed beads and the round crystal bead in the pattern that we just created. So I'm going to do 5 of these. And these seed beads are a little bit chunkier than the seed beads we usually use. These are 2 millimeters. You can really use any beads you want for this. You could do all crystal rondels. You could do all seed beads, any size seed beads. We just thought these looked pretty. And we like the gold beads with the gold wire. So I just have 5 more of my seed beads to feed on. And I have to keep pushing this memory wire, the back of it, out of the way because it really wants to just be in its memory wire shape. So I'm kind of holding it apart so that I can get access to the end there. And I've got all my beads now on the bracelet, except I need my 1 more crimp bead at the end. I'm not going to crimp these yet. I'm going to wait until I finish the closure because I want to make sure I've got it centered. And where it's centered is going to depend on where the closure is. And the closure for this, we're going to make 2 loops that overlap the memory wire bracelet. I'll show you what I mean right now. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to bend a loop in the end of 1 piece of the memory wire. The way to do that is just to grab the memory wire. Wherever you go on the round nose pliers will determine what size loop you're making. So if you go at the very tip, you'll make a tiny loop. If you go up here at the thicker part, you'll make a big loop. I'm going to go closer to small, but not completely small. I'm holding the pliers perpendicular to the wire, and I'm going to roll a loop in it. Memory wire is very hard, which is how it stays in this circle shape. So you have to give it some elbow grease. And I'm letting the round nose pliers do the work, just rolling like that to make that loop. So there I've made one loop in that end of the memory wire. And now I do the same thing in the other end of the memory wire. I'm just going to flip the bracelet over so I have access to it. I want to go on the same part of the round nose pliers that I just used to make that other loop, so the loops will be the same size. I'm out at the very end of the memory wire, grabbing and rolling. It just takes a little elbow grease, a little muscle to get it all the way around, but then you have a nice little loop there. And if you wanted, you could leave it like this and just have those little loops, but we think it's fun to connect them onto the wire. It makes it like it's an adjustable bracelet. So the way you do that is you want to take your chain nose pliers, so these are the flat pliers, and what we want to do is we want to bend the loop so that it's towards that wire. So to do that, I'm going to turn the bracelet over. Now I'm in the same plane, and I'm going to bend a 90-degree angle in that loop. So now the loop is facing the wire can go through the loop. I'll show you that again on the other side. I'm going to go in the same plane as the bracelet and the loop, but then I'm going to bend this 90 degrees. I'm not bending it this way, I'm bending it sideways like that. So now I've created a little circle that the wire can go through. And now these loops are facing each other. One is this way and one is this way. Then to secure the bracelet, we want to feed this wire through this loop. And the loop is closed, but I can open it slightly by just jiggling it sideways a little bit, and I can slide that memory wire into the loop. I'm going to do it on this side also. I'm going to just open the loop slightly with my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to slide that wire into that loop. And so what this does is it makes it so the bracelet's kind of adjustable. It spreads apart a little bit, so when you put it on, you can see that it gets a little bit larger, but then it bounces back to this shape, and these little loops give it that kind of adjustability. And we're almost done, but we forgot to crimp our crimp beads. I was waiting till this was finished at this end because I want the beads to be on the opposite side. So now I want to reach in and crimp these beads. The crimp beads are made of metal and they're meant to be crimped, and what they do is they grab onto the wire once you press them down. So I'm just taking my chain nose pliers and I'm pressing very hard. I'm misshaping this crimp bead. I'm crimping it flat, and it's going to bite onto that wire and not move. So that one's there, and I can go to the other side and crimp the other side. Oh, that one's moving a little bit. That means I need to crimp it harder. So there, that one's crimped. And then I'll push the other beads up to it and crimp the other side. You really do have to press down hard to crimp it, but that keeps those beads there in the center. And then you can make a lot of these. You could just vary how you do the beads. Here we've got a couple gold beads in between a couple beautiful aquamarine crystals. This is another version. And once you get started making these, it's really fun to make a whole stack of these delicate beaded bangles.